apartment builders across the province. Today I have the distinct honor of introducing Premier Doug Ford, who has been a true friend to the residential construction industry. With less than 2 weeks to go before Election Day, it is a busy time for the Premier. I am glad you are here today, and it is great to see you in person once again. Myself and the team at ResCon, as well as the builders we represent across Ontario, appreciate the work you and your ministers are doing and the actions you have taken to dramatically boost housing supply in Ontario. We are in a crisis, and it is imperative that we take immediate steps to accelerate production of housing and help people realize the dream of new home ownership. We must also attract more youth to skilled trades, cut red tape, and transition to a digital standard for planning and development applications. Doug Ford and his team have shown incredible commitment to this cause, first by deeming our workforce essential during the pandemic, and now with legislation such as the More Homes, More Choice Act plan and the More Homes for Everyone Act. The Ontario PCs are the only party addressing the housing crisis with a comprehensive and sensible plan to boost supply. The PCs have laid out strategies that are superior to those proposed by other parties and pledged to deliver a housing supply action plan every year for the next 4 years. With policies and tools that support multi-generational housing and missing middle housing, the Ontario PCs aim to build 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years and have taken steps to help municipalities cut red tape and transition towards a digital standard for planning and development applications. This type of forward-thinking action that is needed to tackle the housing crisis, and that is why the directors of ResCon and I are endorsing Doug Ford and the Ontario PCs for re-election. The Ontario PCs are in the best position to deliver what we need to keep our economic recovery on track and speed up the production of new housing and rental units. They have shown they will get the job done. Again, I would like to thank you for your time, and I will now ask Premier Ford to take the podium. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and I want to thank you, Richard, for your introduction and support. When it comes to building more homes, no one knows more than the Residential Construction Council of Ontario. You represent the women and men on the front lines of our plan to build more homes, and I couldn't be happier to have you with us today. Together, we're going to get it done. Friends, I'm thrilled to be here back in London with our great team of candidates. And of course, we have Jane Arkova. Jane, sorry, I almost got that. And great to be here with Jane. And let me tell you, this city has a really, really bright future, a future full of opportunity. And our party, the PC Party, is here to support you. Only the PCs will move the WSIB head office and bring thousands of good-paying jobs to the heart of London. And as the city grows, only the Ontario PCs will invest another $160 million to improve the speed and frequency of the all-new GO train service between London and Toronto. We secured a historic $2 billion investment from GM to protect and create thousands of direct and indirect jobs across Ontario, including converting its Cami Ingersoll plant into the first full-scale electric vehicle manufacturing facility in all of Canada. And we're bringing more jobs to the region with the recent $120 million investment by Medicom to build a new nitrile glove plant. And that's big, folks, really big. Friends, we have a plan for London's growth. We have a plan for Ontario's growth. That means rebuilding Ontario's economy with better jobs and bigger paychecks so our kids and grandkids can build their future here in Ontario. It means saying yes to building highways and key infrastructure. It means working with workers by getting more women and men into the skilled trades. It means keeping our province and our economy open today and in the future. And it means keeping costs down so mom and dad can afford to put gas in their car, pay the bills, and buy groceries. Traveling around the province, whether it's in the north, Windsor, the GTA, or right here in London, I hear it time and time again. Too many families are frozen out of the housing market. They're priced out of the dream of home ownership. And I just had the opportunity to meet with 3 phenomenal families right behind me here in London who are experiencing this firsthand. I told them, I gave them my word, that we'll stop at nothing to make sure we address the housing crisis in Ontario. Friends, it's about supply and demand. At a time when our province is growing, as we welcome more families to fill the jobs in the skilled trades and manufacturing, we need to build more homes. We've come a long way. Our PC government broke ground on a record number of new homes, with more than 100,000 homes in only 12 months. That's the highest level of new housing starts in a year since 1987. Last year, our PC government reached a 30-year record for rental housing construction, with the most units built in a single year since 1991. We can't stop there. We need to do more. That's why a re-elected PC government will build 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years. We're going to keep working with municipalities to cut through the red tape and accelerating permitting and approvals. Working with municipal partners, we're going to update our housing supply action plan every year so we can get more homes built faster. And we're going to continue to advance our transit-oriented community program so we can build more homes closer to transit. Just a few short weeks ago, our PC government announced plans to build nearly 50,000 new housing units in the GTA that will be connected to transit. That's 50,000 more homes who will live close to subways and other transit options. We want more families across Ontario to enjoy the same convenience. That's our plan, to build more homes. That's our plan to get it done. Sorry. The Liberals had their chance to build. They had their time to increase gas taxes, impose new road tolls, and raise a cost of renewing your license plate. But when it came time to cut through the delays to get more homes built, they found every reason to say no. In fact, Stephen Del Duca started his career in politics by saying no to building 1,000 new homes for families in Vaughan. Some things never change. And as for Andrew Horwath and the NDP, they're the party of no. No to absolutely every new idea, no to progress, no to building. The NDP are opposed to building absolutely anything. And Andrea Horwath even called new apartment buildings monstrosities. Her NDP will bury any construction in mountains of red tape with endless studies, reports, and committees, and the result will be higher costs for families. We can't let the Liberals take us back, and we can't let the NDP hold us back. It's time to say yes to building more homes, and we won't stop there. We're saying yes to keeping fees off license plates, yes to cutting the gas tax, yes to improving GO train service between London and Toronto, and yes to building Highway 413 and expanding 401 between London and Tilbury. We're the only party saying yes. We're the only party that will get it done. Friends, we have the plan, we have the vision, we have the momentum, and we're on June the 2nd. Everybody, let's do it. Let's get it done. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Premier Ford, you're in a development that homes are listed for more than $900,000. Yep. There's lots of issues with, supply chains, costs of materials and things. What are you doing to ensure that these homes that you're building and promising to build are landing in the hands of middle-class Ontarians?
Well, we're going to make sure that we streamline the process, make sure we standardize the process, speed up the permitting. We're cutting everything we can to make sure that they get the permits out the door and out getting people building. We have almost every trade union in the province supporting us. They don't want delays. This development for approvals took 12 years. 12 years to get a permit. That's unacceptable. It's not going to happen under our government. We're making sure that when it comes to foreign investment here, they're going to be charged an additional 20%. And do you know what drives me absolutely crazy? I think you've heard me vent before on this, is when a developer gets a deposit from hardworking folks, and 2 years later they said, well, too bad, we're giving the money back. that's not going to be acceptable. That's not going to be acceptable. It's not going to happen. We're putting an end to that. We're going to make sure that we drive the process, make sure that we get the permits on time in a timely fashion.
The NDP's Our London Family Act died in committee when the legislature was dissolved. Will your government commit to passing it in the next legislative session if it's reintroduced, or do you have analogous anti-Islamophobia legislation you're tabling?
Well, I think we're very strong on any form of hate. Our strategy on hate, we put $30 million into making sure that we support communities on education, on security especially. So we're actually putting more money to support these families. And I'll tell you, I won't tolerate hate for a second. It doesn't matter what race, what religion. It's just not going to happen here in Ontario.
Morning, Mr. Premier. Nicole with the Canadian Press. I have a couple questions for you about the cannabis sector, actually.
Okay.
We're seeing a lot of clusters of cannabis stores in some neighborhoods. Like, sometimes it's one on every street corner, it feels like. But then some municipalities don't have any at all. What, if any, measures would you take to address clustering in affected neighborhoods and then encourage growth in underserved communities?
Yeah, so what we did, we gave it the opportunity up to the municipalities to say yay or nay. And the ones that said yes, well, you're seeing that. I see it too. They'll cluster right beside each other, but guess what? It doesn't matter if it's cannabis or another type of a store. The market will take care of it. There's no way you can cluster any type of business beside each other. It's like putting 6 convenience stores together. There's going to be 2 that might survive. So, folks, it's first of all, it's up to the municipalities to determine that. And secondly, the market's going to take care of the rest of them when they start clustering.
And just before the pandemic hit, your government launched consultations on cannabis consumption venues like lounges and cafes. Did anything ever come of that before COVID hit, or is it something that you would consider looking at again if reelected?
Well, I leave that up to the municipalities. No one knows their community better than the municipalities, and it's going to be up to them to make that decision.
Any other questions?
No, well, I just want to thank the families behind me for coming out today, and we're going to do everything we can to support them and many other families across Ontario to cut through the red tape. Let's get the shovels in the ground. Let's not wait 10 to 12 years for permits to be approved. We need to make sure the permits are approved in a timely manner, and we're going to do everything we can to help these folks behind me to get into attainable housing. Thank you so much. All the very best.
Working hard every day, we got the heart to find a way. Nobody said it was an easy road, and we won't stop